Joe Johnson, host of Beatle Brunch. I've got two incredible musician and producers on with me here on this Zoom meeting for Beatle Brunch. And we're going to talk about a brand new CD that's just come out. It's Gem Records celebrates John Lennon. As you know, John Lennon would be turning 80 on October 9th. And then we have another sadder anniversary coming up later on in the year. But the music on this production is just incredible. So let me welcome Gem Records co-founder Marty Scott. Marty formed Gem Records back in 1970. They had such great music on there, like Live at Budokan and Susie and the Banshees, and just you had some great music early. A lot of the stuff that people couldn't get that you imported. Is that right, Marty?
Yeah, we did. We also had, lots of labels that we owned and distributed besides the imports, and it was a lot of fun.
And then the record label came back around like in 2013, I guess. And so
yeah, in 2013, someone asked me to make records again, so I did.
Sounds good. And let me say hi to my buddy Glen. Glen, I never know how to introduce you because you are so multi-talented with Styx and Beatlemania and the orchestra and, of course, the Weeklings. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Joe. Good to be here, socially distant.
Pretty distant, yeah. You guys are. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, and you guys are in the Northeast. Are you in Jersey? You guys?
Yes, but it's probably just as humid here today as it is down there.
Yeah, it's hot and humid, but it's pretty great. So, Lefty Weekling, how are you doing, man? Bass guitar, vocals, and writing the original tunes. Let's talk about the Weeklings because you contributed 2 tracks, the open and closer. I mean, you did the bookend on this CD, and the production and the performances are fantastic. But give us a little history of the Weeklings because I've seen you guys at the Fest for Beatles fans at Abbey Road on the River and other concerts, and you guys really. Even when you play original music, you make it sound like it should have been on Revolver. I mean, I always think about that.
Well, that's high praise, really. That's a great album. It almost is an accident. We're just friends that have worked together over the years in different projects, and there were a couple of big shows of mine where we would do Beatles songs, and every 50th anniversary of an album, I would do an entire album.
Wow!
These shows that I produced, and then we got to the 50th anniversary of the first 2 albums, and it was then that we realized the arranging on With the Beatles and Please Please Me, it's really almost always for 4 instruments, a bass, 2 guitars, drums, and all the vocals. On a rare occasion, there'd be a piano that would be added. So in any case, instead of one of these shows where I had strings and horns and a choir and all this other stuff, accoutrements, we just focused on those 2 early albums, and we all looked at each other, the 4 of us, as a quartet, and said, that was fun. Maybe we should take some other gigs and make ourselves into a band. And obviously, we didn't put a lot of thought into the name of the group, but we kind of liked the title. Yeah.
What is the Weeklings?
Well, you mean the name?
Yeah, of course.
Or, we were rehearsing one time, and the keyboardist who came in, we were all, we were being snide and facetious, and we were saying things like, Beatles, they weren't very good. This music is not very good. Here we were slaving on trying to find every note and perform it perfectly, and the keyboard player walked into the rehearsal studio, and he heard what we were saying about Beatles music, and he said, it's weak. Sarcastically, he said, Beatle music is weak. And we thought that was hysterical because it's obviously anything but weak. So later on, I said, how about we call ourselves the Weeklings? So there you go.
And it's stuck. Yeah, it's one of those things. Well, we know that when we hear that name and we see you on stage, we're going to get a great variation of music and some rock and roll and, cover tunes. I especially like you did Baby, You're a Rich Man. You did Paperback Writer as the Weeklings. You even did Friday on My Mind, and you recruited Peter Noon, who I think you and I both met, obviously, on the the oldies cruises, but yeah, as a musician, I'm sure you've met him in other situations. But he, listening to his show on Sirius XM, he seems like a fun guy to work with, right?
He's a great guy. I'm in awe of him. The kid in me still remembers, him as, Herman's Hermits. But he, for a guy that's been doing it as long as anyone, from the British invasion, he's wonderful. And really, Marty was the guy that kind of hooked us up with Peter Noonan. And like I said, he's just awesome to work with, and he's a true pro. He's really professional.
Yeah, he's great. Marty, I want you to tell us a lot about the CD, actually, but I'm going to talk about the two Weeklings tracks separately with Glenn. But set up some of the songs and how you chose the music for the CD. Well, he's got like a nice circle going on, like graphic there, Glenn. You spent a lot of money on those.
I want to add
graphics.
a little psychedelia. Yeah.
So tell me, Marty, how you came up with the track listing, and tell us about some of the tunes on here.
Sure. Well, I was working from home in April, and I was listening to Sirius XM, and a John, composition came on. It just dawned on me that it would have been his 80th birthday in October, and we should do something. And I didn't want to do something with an artist. I wanted the label to do something. So I came up with this idea to do an album. And so I contacted as many people as I can on the label, say, listen, this is what I want to do. You up for it? And if so, what songs would you like to do? Because I thought that it would be easier and a lot smarter if I let each artist pick tracks that they felt comfortable in recording, as opposed to assigning a song to a particular artist based on some A&R, idea. So Glenn, and the Weeklings, came up with their two, tracks, and the English band, the Gold Needles, came up with a really cool mashup of Hey Bulldog combined with Cold Turkey, and Richard Barone, everyone knows from the Bongos, took Revolution and added the chorus to Power to the People.
It's fantastic the way he wedges that song in and out like that. It's just fantastic.
And the Gripweeds spent about 4 million hours in the studio working out an arrangement of Strawberry Fields Forever, and also with You Can't Do That. And one of our new bands, the Midnight Callers, which Kurt has co-produced, and their new album comes out, their debut album comes out on October 23rd. They picked It Won't Be Long, and also Jealous Guy. And one of our promotion guys, Mark Platt, I was talking about it, and he says, they should start this off with Child in Nature and then go into Jealous Guy. Mm-hmm. So I brought it up to the band, and they loved the idea, and they came up with this sort of Crosby, Stills and Nash version of Jealous Guy with many, many, many part harmonies, too many for them to want to do live. So they came up with that. And then Jonathan Pushkar did Just Like Starting Over and Call Your Name. And then we're back, to the Weeklings. So I let them pick the tracks, and then we sort of decide, okay, how are we going to do this? And want to make sure that everything fit together.
Well, I think the track selection is important because this CD features a lot of songs by the Beatles and John Lennon that you don't normally hear bands do. Strawberry Fields occasionally, that's a difficult one to do, but some bands can do it. But certainly, John Lennon's Power to the People, and even I Call Your Name. I've never heard anybody do the Beatles song from Meet the Beatles. It Won't Be Long. And what I like about It Won't Be Long and No Reply is they have an intro.
Right. So, and also, the way that It Won't Be Long starts, where it's like a cold vocal, with the drums, you don't think it's going to be a Beatles song at all. And the Anderson Council, Peter Horvath, picked I Found Out, which is about as intense of a Lennon, cover as you can do on an album like this.
Right. He would have had to chose God or Mother or something real personal.
Yeah. Well, I think he didn't want to pick those because those were
too personal.
Personal.
I agree.
And after I worked out all the tracks, we had a little timeline because it had to come out October 9th. And that necessitated getting everything recorded before, the end of July. well, take the Gold Needles in England. They couldn't even get together inside to record. They had to record certain stuff outside, and that presented a few problems. And I think that Jonathan Pushkar was getting Greg Bissonette,
Ringo's drummer,
to do one of the tracks, and he had to get that done. And I don't know exactly when Glenn found the time to actually get all those tracks together for What's the New Mary Jane. But I just wanted to make sure that he knew that I put a question mark at the end of it, that was part of the deal. I had to have a question mark at the end.
Right. It's a song with a question mark. Right. That's
if
right.
you notice the cover is an Al Hirschfeld lithograph called Let It At Home. And that was originally done by Al, I believe it was in the year 2001. Neil Glazer, who you both probably know from Art Celebs, commissioned him to do it. And my wife's gallery, The Art of Music, was probably the biggest vendor of actually a store of selling it back then. And it just dawned on me, hey, I got to get this for the cover. So I contacted Neil, and he contacted the Hirschfeld organization, and everyone gave me the rights to use it.
Oh, nice.
So for only the second or third time in history, Hirschfeld is on the cover of an album.
Fantastic. It really completes the package, because you really have some legitimacy there besides all the artists in this
Do
song.
you know who did the actual package? It was Anthony.
Anthony Parisi.
Yeah, Anthony
he did all the artwork for my website, actually.
I know that. That's the reason why I mentioned it.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's really unbelievable.
I just want to interject that, really, Marty came up with this idea. If I'm not mistaken, we were already into the pandemic. And
okay.
I know that, I think that I'm pretty sure that all of these songs on this record were actually created during this year,
Mm-hmm.
They were basically done in June.
There you go. And the Weeklings, I can tell you, the two Weeklings tracks, oddly enough, we never met. All four of us recorded by ourselves at home, in our studios, in our home studios. And, we emailed each other the files. And, it's like George Jetson. We're like the Jetsons making music now from our homes. There was that was the social distancing. But happily, it all came together. And, I'll always look at this record as that. Like, wow, check it out. We really didn't even hang out with each other.
So when you put all the tracks together, who gets to mix it into what we heard? I guess what I was thinking of really too is when I've read these famous stories about the Beatles in the studio, when nobody was looking, John would push, his level up a little more on his guitar, or George would, or Paul would push his bass level up a little bit. So I'm thinking, well, if Lefty was mixing this track, I would imagine that the bass and the vocal might be a little louder. I mean, I was kind of thinking of that a little bit.
Well, to be honest, with the Weeklings tracks, we did get together for the mixes.
Okay, there you go.
Although there was a certain amount of maybe the word. Actually, I'm wrong. The word John mixed, and we kept that thing going where we emailed each other rough mixes.
Sure.
And that's when I would say, more bass, more of me, and then the drummer would say more of me, and then we all took our turns.
And before long, the song was so loud and overcompressed that nobody could hear anybody. No, you did a great job. Wow.
Right.
I was going to say, tell me your choice for the word, because that, I almost look at that as the early version of All You Need Is Love, because he really did nail that premise there on that album. And so you took that instead of All You Need Is Love, obviously, but it's a rockin' tune, and you guys really give it your own spin.
We really appreciate trying to rearrange Beatles songs, the Weeklings, and we find it a lot more fulfilling as an achievement. I was in Beatlemania 40 years ago, so I used to, I have studied Beatle music for a lifetime now, and no matter what you do, no matter how close you can get to it, in my opinion, the only version I really want to hear is the original. The Beatles were magic. So how do you cover a Beatles song? And at this point, because I've been at it so long, and so are my cohorts in the Weeklings. We're all professional. We're all veterans of music. So we like to rearrange and see if we can breathe our own personality into the arrangements. The Word is a great song, but I was trying to get this thing so that, you know, the song starts completely different than the Beatles. We even tweak the melodies differently, and I like it to be a surprise for the listener. It takes about, 10, 15 seconds into the song before you realize what song you're listening to.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I got caught by surprise when I got it. When I got that email, although I didn't expect that. I didn't expect Bo Diddley to show up on a Beatles film.
Yeah.
Well, actually, as we're recording this, it's Jerry Lee Lewis's 85th birthday today. So,
Wow.
Hanging in there.
And his
Great.
wife is still 13.
That's right. She never aged. That's
Right.
why I like that painting. All right, Glenn, I got to ask you about What's the New Mary Jane. Did you go back and study what the Beatles did? Because it's pretty quirky. Their version obviously is weird, but yours is well produced. It's really polished up. So tell me the evolution of doing this song, how it came about, why you did it. He's going to reach for something.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if my piano's on.
Okay.
It's certainly one of the, if not the all-time wackiest songs of John Lennon's. Now, and I'm a big fan of, lesser known wacky Beatle tracks.
Sure.
And so are the Weeklings. The Weeklings have covered a number of songs that the Beatles wrote that they never recorded. And, it's just been a fun side project for our band. And when I mentioned the challenge to the rest of the band, there was even a little bit of hemming and hawing. It was just like, that song is just ridiculous. How could we ever do anything with that song to, polish it off? Because it really, when you hear the outtakes from the White Album, it just sounds like John is just goofing around. Yeah. But so I sat down and, the first thing was I wanted to kind of play the Lady Madonna piano part. And so I tried to fuse those two, that kind of Fats Domino, a piano approach to John Lennon's wacky song, and everybody pitched in, and it turns out at the end, John did this incredible guitar solo, and the band is rocking, Joe on drums and Bob on guitar, and it was a challenge. It was a challenge. Yeah.
So did you listen to the original, or did you just say we're going to give it our own imaginary spin here?
Well, I certainly listened to the original for the lyrics and the melody and stuff.
Sure.
And
two chapatis and cream and all that.
Amazing lyrics. Just like, what was he thinking, But
he's taking to get what he was thinking.
That's possibly an ingredient as well.
Yeah.
But we did it completely sober, and we, I wanted to know as much as I could about the record, and then I wanted to move on and see if we could make it into a viable modern recording. And
well, whenever I get a CD like this, I always give myself a challenge that I'm going to listen to it all the way through, front to back, start to finish. And I was in my car with about a 30-minute drive. And I was so tempted to go. I so badly wanted to go to What's the New Mary Jane, but I said, no, I'm going to be faithful to my listening experience. But I can't tell you how many times I said, okay, I've heard enough of no reply. And I didn't. I will tell you, that was the track I was
You have good self-control. The other thing about What's the New Mary Jane is I like the idea of just what you said, that, the only people that know of the song What's the New Mary Jane are deep track Beatle fans. Yeah. So it's of which I am a member of that cult. So I like to think that, this is kind of an inside thing we got going. Us and you guys, and that's an extra thrill.
Okay, so your next assignment, I guess, for the John Lennon Volume 2 would be either Revolution number 9.
Carnival of Light.
Carnival of Light. I don't know how many people have heard it. You know my name. Look up the number. That's the one. That would be the other one.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. I love that song.
And that's the kind of song where I'm listening for all the little things that people are whispering and doing in the background. That's what I loved about the anthology or the rock band tracks that came out. You hear John chewing gum and all that kind of stuff in there. So it's a fun CD. It's a pleasure to have it and listen to it. We're sharing tracks on the air on Beatle Brunch, and we're giving copies away thanks to Gem Records. And Marty, tell everybody where they can get it. I know it's on Amazon and downloadable.
It's downloadable. It'll be out October 9th. You can get it at Amazon, Apple Music, all the other platforms. But if you go to a record store, try to get it there, because we need to support independent record stores before they're all gone. So I would recommend at least try there first before you order at Amazon. And also, it'll be available on limited edition red vinyl.
Nice.
And it is going to be a limited edition. It is in stock right now in America, but it won't be in the stores for I think 10 days later for some bizarre technical reason. But it's in America right now, and it's a limited edition red vinyl of the album.
And they can listen to Beatle Brunch. We're playing tracks. We're giving them away. Before we close out, Marty, something you could say about John Lennon. We've got his 80th birthday, also a very sad anniversary coming up where he'll have been gone longer than he's been with us. But how should people best remember John besides playing these tracks?
Remember him through his music and what he thought. In this political climate, I think that what John went through himself was incredible. The intense pressure he was under just trying to stay in America, and think about what he thought about peace and about understanding of people, and listen to his music and enjoy it while we can.
Glenn, you always give me a great quote, so I want you to close out the interview with tell me how people should remember John. What's the best way to do it, and how do you do that?
A little bit of pressure there, Joe, but here's a great quote for you. No, honestly, John Lennon changed the world, through art, and what a shadow he cast. And here we are, still talking about him so long after his passing. The guy was bigger than life, but also such a sweet, human, and based on earth. He was a very common man who was also a genius. And I thought that he said it all with his "all you need is love, and love is the answer." I love is the word, And so hats off to Johnny Lennon.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's been great. I could talk Beatles with you guys all day. The Weeklings, of course, with Glen Burtnik, Lefty, and as seen in the orchestra, the tribute to songs of the Electric Light Orchestra and the old days with Beatlemania, and fantastic. You've got a legacy right there. And of course, Marty Scott from Gem Records, thank you for keeping the music and showcasing it in these new editions. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Okay, guys. Sayonara.
Yeah.
Give peace a chance.
See ya!
Imagine.